Welcome. This is the Drupal usability meeting for August 19th, 2024. I'm Benji Fisher moderating, and also present are Ralph Kohler, who's sharing his screen, Aaron McHale, Andrei Zvankov, Randy Ost, and Simo Helston. Go ahead, Ralph.
Thanks. We are looking at issue number 2804.387. Inform users that the maintenance mode message is not displayed on cached pages. If we take a quick look at the current state before the there we go. Currently, the maintenance mode page looks the following way. And I'll quickly switch to the feature branch. And
so while you're trying to fix that, let's just make sure everyone understands. Does everyone remember what maintenance mode is? So when you're doing some sort of maintenance on the site, typically running database updates, you can put it in maintenance mode. And then any non-admin user who visits the site will get a message, whatever is in that text field. Your site is currently under maintenance. We should be back shortly. Thank you for your patience as the default.
Yep, exactly. And the problem with this, and it's also surfaced as I've previously mentioned in a discussion, raised on the UX channel. Apologies. 1 second, I have to scroll to find it. Yeah, by MXR576. Because the problem is the following: if you have the maintenance mode, and if you open, for example, a private window, Drupal core, and now we switch on the maintenance mode, reload. As you can see, I still get basically the front page, not the pages currently in a maintenance mode. I have to go basically to development, performance, cache, reload, and now site under maintenance.
And that's normally a good thing. Like, wouldn't you rather serve someone a cached page most of the time instead of a message saying that the site is unavailable? So this issue isn't about changing any of that. We're still going to have that behavior, which, as I said, is usually a good thing. Just modify the messaging on this page.
Yep. As you can see, unfortunately, I ran into an error because I forgot to clear the cache before, after changing the branch. That way it would be more significant, because it's easily gets unnoticed that small in tiny letters description underneath the message to display. When in maintenance mode, to display the maintenance mode message to all visitors, flush the page cache on the performance settings page, and it could go easily unnoticed.
Okay, and that message, there's currently nothing there without the merge request for this issue, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So any questions first about what we're doing, why we're doing it?
It all makes sense to me.
So what do you think about the particular messaging? Anyone?
It's not about the message, but I'm thinking since we have sometimes we are starting to have those two different buttons, so it would have save and flush cache. So that would be kind of strange, but it would be kind of something that could be done at one time, just clicking through the both. So it might be easier, but it might be an overkill.
Right. So currently that link, I assume, is just going to the performance page where you can then clear cache, and you're suggesting that you might want to add a button here to clear the cache directly.
Yeah, it would be then one step less.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I think I like the idea of like a save configuration and clear cache, but I don't know, there is another part of me that sort of feels like the fact that cache doesn't get cleared does kind of feel like a bug in a way. Like I get what you were saying, Benji, but also like it's the equivalent of saying like if I save a node, I expect the content to update. You know, if I saved node and the content didn't update because the cache it was still caching, I would say that's a bug. If I put the site in maintenance mode and I save it, if I then go to the homepage and I'm saying a cached version of it, my immediate reaction is, oh, there's a caching bug.
I agree with Aaron.
So I'm thinking that the usual use case is that I'm afraid of something breaking while I'm running database updates or whatever I'm doing. I guess that's the only use case I've ever had for putting the site in maintenance mode. So I don't want people to see the sausage being made, so to speak. I don't want them to see an unfinished page. But if I have an already finished page in the cache, then I want them to see the cache page. So I think it's an unusual use case where you'd want people to clear, or where the site administrator would want to clear the cache. So I don't think it's all that important to make that easy, and I sort of don't even want to encourage people to do it. So I guess, maybe just to frame the discussion, we should think of the usual questions. When we're adding interface text, we want to inform people of what the situation is and give them options to change the behavior if they don't like the default. But go ahead, Ralph.
Just one addition. First, the comment by MXR576 from his perspective and the agency or the group he's working at, he has opened an issue where this issue is basically the root cause is the following. User login fails silently when maintenance mode is active. So he was expecting, and all the people at his place were expecting to see that the site is set into maintenance mode, and they considered it sort of a problem. Just another perspective in that case. And from my perspective, for one, I liked Simo's suggestion with provide the option safe configuration and alongside safe configuration and clear cache. And maybe one other point from my perspective, in case if safe configuration is chosen, maybe present to display the maintenance mode message to all site visitors. Don't put it as in a small font size underneath the text field, but maybe as a status message or an information in a box on top So the user setting the maintenance mode clearly sees that the cache isn't cleared yet.
Oh, so you want to add a message that tells you whether or not the cache has been cleared? I'm not
No,
sure.
I just thought make that text underneath more prominent. At the moment, it could easily be missed.
Okay. So I assume that they're adding text with the standard form API that we have a label, we have a text area, and we have a description. Yeah, form of maintenance mode of description.
I've just been thinking about this, and I think a bit more, and I suppose there's two ways you could think about it from the perspective of the sort of real world. Like what you were describing, Benji, is an optimal situation where is one possible optimal situation where you want the site, you want visitors to be able to use the site when it's in maintenance mode. But I think and I'm going to make a generalization. I think for most sites where they have such a volume of traffic that that's important, they probably have another caching solution in front of Drupal, like Cloudflare. And so maybe what they do is, and again, I'm just speculating here, maybe what you do in that case, you're going to put the site in maintenance mode. So you say, okay, hold everything in a cache, don't go fetch for anything new, so that the whole site is cached. Because what you then end up with is, this is also not optimal because there might be pages that aren't cached, so like there might be media that isn't cached. So you might end up in a situation where the user they see the cache version, but not like they then go to click to another page and they get the maintenance mode message because that page wasn't cached before the site was in maintenance mode. So I feel like for caching to be effective while the site's in maintenance mode, you need a proper planned out caching strategy that covers the whole site as a whole. So that's why I'm sort of more leaning towards that, like Drupal core shouldn't provide this feels like a kind of bug in the sense that I don't think the intention I can't see the intention ever being that oh, let's not clear the cache in maintenance mode because people should see a cache version. As Ralph mentioned, there is a bug that stems from that. So I do feel like ultimately the solution is that it should clear the cache. However, that said, we all know what it's like to get changes in Drupal core. And so at the very least, maybe this is a good intermediate step that at least provides some better messaging to the user or better information. And maybe that thinking about this as a bug and fixing it as a follow-up issue. I think that's where I'm more leaning.
So here's a suggestion. Instead of putting the text there, how about putting it in a confirmation message after you save configuration? Because that's the time when you need to know the information and when it would be effective to clear the cache. First, you put the site into maintenance mode, then clear the cache. I get a thumbs up from Simo.
Yeah, I was actually going to mention that possibility myself also. So yeah, I think that's good because then it's also something that you first finish one step, then continue to another one. Having a link there in the description kind of leads you to the wrong place.
Okay, we got I think 3 other thumbs up. So I think that's consensus. Okay, we should move the message to the to a confirmation message after saving the form rather than always putting it at the bottom of the form, and then we don't have to worry about the fact that the font is too small when in its current version.
Yeah, I think because so I was just gonna say that I think also because the problem I think a lot of times with text on a form, it's very often that you like you get so used to what you want to click on. So if you like visually you come here and you see the checkbox for non-maintenance mode is like really prominent. The save configuration is really prominent. So you almost like visually just kind of ignore all the other information. So again, I think like as a thinking about that as an interim step, a confirmation form is probably the least likely way that a user's going to miss that step.
Oh, wait a minute. You said confirmation form. I was just thinking of the confirmation text when form is submitted.
Oh, like, okay, so like a status message?
Yes.
Maybe
Set of-
Ralph, could you submit the form so we can see what happens? Oh, okay. That's a lot of.
And in fact, they've already implemented that. That third status message is
Or was
what
that
I'm suggesting.
already
Yeah, that one.
is that new? Didn't look like that was in the patch, was it?
Wait a second. I just moved to the other branch and we can compare. 1 second, please.
Here I also have a site. And that's just Drupal core with the Umami demo.
Yes, I did, as you can see.
Hmm. Yeah.
Oh. That I have missed.
So we went from 1 message to 3 messages? Was that right?
Second, I've switched back to 2 messages.
Oh, 2, okay.
I will click here.
Yeah, maybe we should work on that messaging then, because I like that idea. I think that we probably could, if we worked on it, we could probably get to a shorter message.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about the text of the message.
Yeah.
So if it's already implemented as a status message, do we or do we not also want to have the description text underneath the form?
It is, since that status message is, 1 second, I just test. Yeah, when you get to the page again, then that status message isn't shown. So then it's necessary to keep it. But on page itself, it's redundant.
I don't feel like it's really necessary because, like, I don't feel like you're going to really notice it. And we probably want people doing it after they've saved the form, not before they save the form.
One thing that I was thinking, are we sure it's the correct? So I was thinking, could it maybe, what's the definition of warning we have, so that it would show that something that might require action.
I'm sorry, your audio is a little bit uneven. Are you suggesting that we make it a warning message rather than an info message?
Yeah, it's an option or something to distinct, like make it distinct from something that is finished to something that might need extra attention.
It doesn't seem to me like a warning condition. You know, for many cases, in many cases we don't want to take action. So I think that changing it to a warning message is putting too much emphasis on it. It's encouraging people to clear caches, which they might not want to do. Can we get a quick vote on whether it should be status or warning? Who thinks it should be a status message? I do.
Ditto.
I see 2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
3 thumbs up. 4 thumbs up. So Simo, I think you're outvoted. Is that okay?
Yeah, I don't
try
have a
to-
strong opinion. I was just thinking if we would have something in between. Yeah, but I think maybe warning is not correct for this one, not the kind of warning we have.
Okay. So let me make the case for removing the line underneath the form. So first of all, less is more. So secondly, it's visual clutter, which maybe is saying the same thing. And third, it sort of encourages doing things in the wrong order. If you click on that, you move away from this page. You can then click to clear caches, and then you can come back to this page and then hit save configuration. I'm getting a heart from Aaron and a thumbs up from Randy.
I'm just very excited about your suggestions.
I'm getting a
Very
thumbs up
much
from
in
Jan.
support of what you're saying.
Okay. Anyone want to make the opposite case? Okay, I guess we're agreed then. Shall we move on to the text of the message, or is there something else we should talk about first?
Just one small addition related, which was raised in that other issue I've linked. What is the case if someone who has not the permission to use the site in maintenance mode tries to log in while the site is in maintenance mode? With basically the caching done, then you see basically the site is in maintenance mode, and it makes sense that you're unable to log in. But without, it fails silently. You are on the, for example, start page, try to log in, and then you get redirected to the start page with no error, no warning, but still as an anonymous user.
Wait. So you're saying, so the administrator puts the site into maintenance mode without clearing caches?
Yeah.
And then as an anonymous user, you go to the login page?
Yeah. And you try to log in, and the account doesn't have the use the site in maintenance mode permission. That is basically the case that was made in the issue I've linked, which is related to this one.
Okay. And then by default, they're logged in, but since they don't have permission to use it in maintenance mode, they're redirected to the home page. Is that what you're saying?
The login fails with valid credentials without any explanation about what happened. Is in the steps to reproduce in that issue.
Okay, go ahead, Aaron.
I think I would say that that's not something we need to try and address for this issue, because that would, if you remember about the sort of caching strategy I was talking about, that would happen in that case. And so what I think that there's an assumption that if the site's in maintenance mode, you log in, that by redirecting you to the homepage, that you're going to get the status mode message. I think it would be better for that issue to actually focus on displaying an actual warning or error or something on the form when you submit it, because I don't think it should be an assumption. The login form shouldn't assume that by redirecting you back to the homepage you're going to get that message, because there might be other caching layers.
And there's already another issue for that. I think let's stay focused on the current issue.
Yep.
And unless someone else has something they'd like to talk about first, I think we should talk about the text. So I would like to rework the text so that it's so it doesn't encourage people to clear the caches. Like, explain the situation and then say, if you want to clear the cache, you can. And Randy is making a suggestion.
Oh yeah, I just made it really short and sweet. Clear cache to show everyone the maintenance mode message. That doesn't inform people as to why they would or wouldn't want to. I was just focusing on making it a little bit short, a little bit shorter.
I was thinking of 2 sentences, one to describe the situation and the other to give a link. So something like anonymous users will see cached pages. If you want them to see the maintenance mode message, then and then something like the current message, then
Something like that.
One very small change, I think, to show them the maintenance mode message instead of if you want them.
So any advantage other than the fact that it's shorter?
I think it's a little bit more direct. It's kind of telling users, to show them maintenance mode message, flush the page cache on performance settings, as opposed to offering the user like a choice, because they don't actually have to make a choice right here. Because for me, reading if is like, okay, so now I need to make a choice because of the status message.
I see that as an advantage. I want them to know that it's not something they have to do. This isn't recommended standard process. It is a conditional. You don't always want to show the status message to anonymous users. If you do, then this is the way to do it.
That's fair.
There's also option to say something like the maintenance mode message won't be displayed on cached page, and then you can something about you can flush the cache to show it on every page, but just explain that it won't be showed on cached page.
right? And Aaron?
So one thing we could do is, because when you submit the form, you end up getting 3 messages. You get one that says the site's in maintenance mode, one that says the configuration has been submitted, and then this one that now tells you to go to the page. I think we could like take the one, so the one that says the configuration option being saved is the form adding that. So like we don't actually need to keep that message. We could combine that into the one we're working on, and then we just have like 2. I don't think we can avoid. I think the one site is like operating maintenance mode. I think that one will show up. I don't think it's worth trying to hack our way into removing that one, but we at least don't need 3 of them. So
Yeah, I certainly
Yeah.
agree. We don't need 3 messages. Also, I tested on my test site, which is based on Drupal 11.x, and that first status message page does not appear on this page, which when you think about it makes a lot of sense. If you click the go online link, you are just redirected to this page, right? So that must be a recent change. I'm guessing that that this issue is based on Drupal 10.2 or something. So this must be a recent change. So we don't have to
Right.
worry about the first of the 3.
So could we then say something like start the message with the site is now in maintenance mode, and then go on to, and like, you know, is it also strictly true that it's only anonymous users? You could have a caching setup where also people are logged in might still get cached pages. Because caching also doesn't applies to logged in users.
So let's see, this is in the page cache module. Does that cache pages? I don't think it caches pages for logged in users.
1 second.
Like you Drupal can though. Like there is, like I don't think we can assume that only anonymous users will see cached data. Like
And
you could
also
have,
they don't.
yeah.
And also they don't always see that because there might be some element that prevents caching.
But yeah, I guess there's also the dynamic page cache module, and as Aaron brought up earlier, there are also CDNs that might be involved. So maybe instead of trying to say which users will see what, we should say that cached pages will not show the what message,
Maybe we could start maybe something like the maintenance mode message will only show, no, will not, something about it not showing until cache has been cleared. Basically, I think the 3 things we're trying to get across is maintenance mode is now on. Caching is still happening, so previous pages are still cached. And if you don't want that, you have to clear the cache. Just for everybody to see the maintenance mode message. I don't know the exact wording that we want though.
By the way, is it technically possible for a form alter to replace the status message?
No, I think because to add a status message, the status message is added on form submit, and it's added into the messaging service. So you'd have to make a call directly to the messaging service to flush the messages, I believe. Because you can flush them and it removes them, or you can flush and print them, which is what happens automatically on pages.
Yeah, I think that's a little drastic because,
Yeah.
or a little heavy-handed because you don't know that you only want to delete the standard message and there might be others.
Hmm. We also can't guarantee that like our flush would happen when it would happen, because it might be that when you submit the form, when that form is submitted, technically the maintenance mode message hasn't been added to the stack yet. It only happens like after. This is getting complicated, but it happens in the next request after it's been saved. So like it wouldn't even be. There would have to be some like something somewhere else that's checking that logic. Anyway, yeah. I'm getting into territory that's outside the scope of the usability meeting.
Okay, so Ralph, I kind of liked the text that you had a minute ago. Did
Oh.
you delete it or just
Yeah.
complete the word message? And I guess I could go with the shorter version to clear the cache. Visit the performance page. It's a little shorter than the version I had before.
Did we also add the word now to the site is in maintenance mode? So the site is now in maintenance mode.
You know,
Or is
since we
that too
just
many
had this
words?
discussion about how you can't change the default status message, that should be done if it's done at all in the system module. So that would be part of the first status message, which currently just has the default.
Oh, I thought we saw that it doesn't show on this page though.
The message
Like in
that
your
doesn't show is the site is in maintenance mode.
right. So and that's in 11, right? In the latest.
Right.
So what I was meaning is like this our message that we're adding to the form when you submit the form like could start with what I was saying is it could start with that sentence. The site is now in maintenance mode. And then next sentence, cache pages will not show. Blah, blah.
And what I'm suggesting is that if we want to say the site is now in maintenance mode, we should say that in the status message from the system module instead of the default, the configuration options have been saved, which might be a reasonable expansion to scope of this issue. It wouldn't be too hard to
Right.
change the default.
Wait, do you mean the one that shows on? Because I'm just talking about the one that shows when you submit the form. So not the one that shows everywhere else.
Yeah, I'm talking about the same one.
Okay.
So I'm suggesting that we make a change in the page cache module to add the second status message, and that we patch the system module to change the first status message.
I was thinking this is all one message. Like when you submit the form, you get one message that says all of this.
You mean that way?
Yeah.
And insert the word now.
Oh. Yes.
Site is now in
No.
maintenance
Yeah.
mode.
So I just now. Oh, okay. The other way around.
And I think this is the one that would be added when you submit the form, because if it's correct that then the other message that shows up, the one that's like that tells you across all the admin pages that the site is in maintenance mode. If it's correct that that doesn't show on this page, then in theory, you would only see this message when you submit the form.
So yeah, that's true. I just think that instead of making this message, adding this third sentence here, I think that the system module should replace the standard message, the configuration options have been saved, replace that with the site is now in maintenance mode. I think the system module can change that. Can't be done in a form alter, but
Right. But I think it's the form that's adding this message though. Because confirmation messages, if the form doesn't add a confirmation message, then Drupal doesn't display one automatically. Like every form has to add its own like message after you hit submit, which is why we end up with such inconsistent messaging. It's a side problem of this.
well, the settings form by default says the configuration options have been saved, which is kind of pathetic.
Yeah, and I think that's the one that the form is adding. That's why I was saying that I was proposing replacing that message with this this one that we're working on.
So we currently have two messages, and you're suggesting replacing the first one with these three sentences?
Yeah, because I think the first one is the one the form is adding. The second one is the one that the issue added.
Right.
So if we basically, what I'm basically suggesting is combining both of those into a single message, which should be possible because it's the form that's creating that both of those messages, I guess. At least again, I'll caveat that I haven't actually looked at the code, so that's just based on my understanding of how these things usually work.
Hey, just actually my 2 cents on the actual wording. For a second, it seemed to me that anonymous users will see cached pages. I guess I'm wondering who's the messaging would be aimed at, as in if it's a maintainer or administrator of the Drupal site that is pretty new to Drupal, I think this would be confusing to, at least that's what I kind of thought, as in cached pages versus like browser cache versus the Drupal cache. I don't know, just seemed to a bit confusing to me. If I'm a Drupal administrator who is doing this for the first time, or I don't know, just not as familiar with Drupal jargon. Maybe I'm making things up, but just that anonymous users will see cached pages, like I'm thinking cached browser cached pages versus Drupal cached pages.
So it's certainly a persistent problem. We can't explain everything everywhere. If you have a concrete suggestion for improving it, then that'll help. But without that, I think we'll probably want to leave well enough alone. Ralph?
Yep.
Based on Andre's point, I've just looked at the performance page the user is pointed to, and here you see just clear cache, clear all caches. Why not simply, instead of here we use the word flush. Why not adjust it to the wording used on the performance page and simply say, if you want them to see, if you, cache basic. Oh, apologies, I switched into the wrong, in an old version. Yeah, to clear maintenance mode.
Yeah, I agree. Clear, use consistent language, so clear rather than flush.
Yeah, but yeah, in the latest version, we already had clear, so.
Yeah.
And also the page cache was dropped and not mentioned. Yeah, I think should be okay from my point of view.
Should we say rather than cached pages will show the maintenance mode, will not show the maintenance mode message? Because it's technically pages that are cached after you had turned this on will. So maybe it's something like pages which something like pages which were previously cached will not show the maintenance mode message.
So instead of cached pages, you want pages that were previously cached.
Yeah, or actually the maintenance mode, what Ralph's writing, the maintenance mode message will not show. Should we just say will not show rather than will not be shown? Will not show. I'm thinking will not show on already cached pages or something to that effect.
Okay, so first, I think a non-controversial change. Please add a comma after to clear the cache.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And then we're getting close to the end. We have 5 more minutes. So again, I think we have clear consensus to just show the status message. I think if we can combine or combine the status messages, we should. If we can't get rid of the default message, then I still think that the message, the site is now in maintenance mode, is the responsibility of the system module and not the page cache module. So I guess the first preference, if it's feasible, is to combine status messages into one with the 3 sentences. If that's not technically feasible, then my second choice would be to change the first message to the site is now in maintenance mode and have the second one be the 2 sentences.
Yeah. Actually, Ralph, it's so we've got the maintenance mode message will not be shown to users. Is also not it's not that it won't be shown to users, it's just on pages which were already cached. I'm trying to figure out how we can work that into the wording though.
Something like
I
that.
think you're fighting against, trying to explain all the things. And
Also a quick thing, performance settings page is, I'm assuming that would be a link, and is it performance page or performance settings page? Because I think it's just performance, but I don't know if it's
good
Yeah.
point.
Just performance, yep. So drop the settings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Less
Yeah.
is more.
Then I guess performance page would be a link.
Yeah. Yeah, it's both.
Yeah. we could just simplify that second sentence to say the maintenance mode message will not show on already cached pages.
Not show on all. Yeah. Not show.
Or display will not display. Is that better? We use the word display more, I think. Do we? Show display. Oh.
Mm.
So we do have to wrap up. We have 2 more minutes.
Do we need-
someone.
Do we need already, as in the maintenance mesh will not show on already cached pages, just drop the already? Not
I
sure.
think I did suggest. I was thinking that because it's like it will show on cache pages, but only after. Like it'll show on pages after what that are
Yeah.
cached after the form submitted.
Mhm.
So it's more about like exist pages which have already been cached, I guess.
Yeah.
That was my thinking. Or previously cached page. I don't know. We could.
I think that the idea you're trying to convey is a paragraph, not a sentence. And I think that we have to
Yeah.
settle for a sentence here. So I still vote for the second version from the bottom.
That one?
That version. Just have a minute or 2 left. Shall we have a quick vote on these 2, or is that close enough? So I vote for the first one. Anyone else? And who votes for the second version?
I think I'll go for the second one.
Okay. Aaron, no, we have 2 votes for that one. Well, 2 against 1 with 2 abstentions is not a consensus. So
I voted for the first one as well.
okay.
I've posted in the chat.
Oh, I missed that. Okay, so there's definitely not a consensus. Oh, and I missed Seema's comment. Devil's advocate would say that toggling maintenance mode on and off might leave messages on pages in the prior cache. Yeah, I don't know if maintenance mode messages get cached. That I think would be out of scope. That's a problem if it happens. But here we're just worrying about the messaging to the admin user. Okay, so we don't have a consensus, so present both of them on the issue, and we can get further opinions from the people working on the issue. And I think we have to wrap it there. Any last comments? We're actually a couple of
Cache
minutes
is
over time.
hard.
So is
That's my last
interface
comment.
text.
Yeah.
Yeah, naming things is hard. Yeah.
Naming things is hard. Thanks everyone.
Yeah, thanks everyone for coming.